everyone, welcome back to the second episode of Unpredictabilities of Life, or in short, UPDOL. It's been quite a long time since our first episode, but we are so happy to be back.
We have to thank every single one of you who listened to the previous episode. We really loved hearing all the feedback, and luckily it was mostly positive, so that's great.
Yes, and today's episode is really special because it's our very first guest episode. And what a guest!
We're joined by our dear friend and talented cameraman, Mircea Lupescu. He grew up in Romania, watching Cartoon Network. He hustled his way from being a production runner on Big Brother to now being a camera operator at Bloomberg TV. He lives in the Tibetan Buddhist Centre in London and has faced many challenges along the way.
We will dive into career twists, burnout and recovery, self-worth in the creative industry, and why saying no can be just as important as saying yes.
We also talk about mentors and teachers who changed our lives, and Mircea's dream of becoming a sea shepherd to protect marine life.
It's a funny, honest, and super inspiring conversation about navigating unpredictable careers and finding your own definition of success. We loved recording it, and we think you will love listening.
Mircea, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's like being right there with you guys.
The best way possible. First of all, this is the first episode that we have done with anyone other than ourselves.
Yes, thank you so much for being our first guest, and we are so honored to have you.
And so am I. Thanks so much. As I say, I listened to the first episode, and it really struck a chord with me in the sense that careers are something that we often define ourselves by. So it's a really cool conversation to have because we live in a time where people change career every year or two, right?
Yeah.
Or change jobs. It's never been like this.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see everyone's path, right? Because everyone has their own little journey.
I mean, I really hope that the more we have more guests on, the more we realize that it's okay to talk about our challenges, ups and downs in our professional lives. Like, we have got to a point where it has become okay for people to talk about emotional challenges and
Just about,
yes, and mental health and all of that. But still, there is such a huge stigma and such a heavily saturated judgment on professional sides of ourselves. That's why, on another level, I appreciate you accepting this, because we've had a few people who suggested waiting until they are ready. Yes, thank you.
with all of that, I want to kickstart this first segment with just telling us a little bit about yourself. Like, how old are you? Where do you come from? And give us a little bit of a synopsis of who you are.
Right. So my name is Mircea Lupescu. That doesn't sound very English, and we'll get to that in a second. I am 31 years old. I'm an Aquarius, for those wondering. Nobody's wondering. And I'm from a small town in Romania, right? The backstory is, from as far as I can remember, I was really good at English. I picked up English from Cartoon Network in the 1990s, hence why I sound the way I sound, although I lived in the UK for 10 years. And I did sound like this before coming to the UK. So in a way, pop culture and having the TV set on, it was like the third parent, right?
Yeah.
Which is a cool thing. Think about it now, because I ended up working in TV. TV was a super pivotal thing in my life. We didn't have internet growing up, and I was born in 94, so maybe early 2000s is when I spent most of the time just watching Cartoon Network, and it didn't have any subtitles. And I mean, at 3, 4, 5 years old, like at 3 years old, my dad was asking me questions from the dictionary, the English dictionary, and he said that it was hard for him to find any word that I didn't know just from listening to Cartoon Network all day long.
That's amazing.
So in a way, that was great parenting on their side.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was my first interaction with the UK or the US or any sort of anglicized environment was through television. So I was exposed to pop culture, and that got me very starry-eyed about the United States in particular. So I decided, I want to say quite early on, that maybe, in my teens, that I would go to an English speaking country, go to university, do that whole thing.
Mm.
There are a few twists and turns even before me leaving the country. So initially I did maths and physics in school. Everyone in my year is either an engineer or a software developer or a doctor or a lawyer. Serious people with serious people kind of jobs. Right? No
Yeah.
offense to anyone present, because I know we all worked in media and all sorts of things. But it's an interesting thing, right? Because some part of me just rebelled against that. I was like, no, I can do this, but I don't want to fake it. I don't want to live this life. I want to do something creative. So first switch is kind of low key lying to my parents that I'll apply for engineering school if I don't get into
Yeah.
a university in the UK, all the way knowing that I can get in with my grades and whatnot. So I just kind of pitched it that way. And the first thing that I wanted to do was actually music tech, because I was playing in a few bands in high school, college in the UK. So that was my first interaction with something creative. I was into music. I knew I wasn't good enough to be a musician and actually survive off it, not starve. So I thought, okay, something a little bit technical, something a little bit artsy, right? And lo and behold, I wanted to be close to London. I couldn't afford to live in London at the time, so I went to a uni in Bedfordshire, in the county that you guys live
Oh
in.
my God, I was gonna say that. Like, I mean, we said that in the intro that you did your bachelor's in University of Bedfordshire, and I was like, oh my God, this is where we live. It's such
Yeah.
a we are meant to be kind
Yeah,
of thing.
it's you guys are living probably an hour away from where I spent 3 years of my life. And my
Yeah.
first encounter of the United Kingdom was in Luton, of all
Wow.
places. Interesting. It was an interesting turn of
Yes.
events.
Exactly.
So, it's a place that's very dear to my heart, that whole area. And again, I wanted to do music tech, but for some reason I applied to a course that was TV oriented because it felt like a broader range. Like, okay, you can try different things,
Mm.
see what sticks. And the music tech course in our uni only had 3 people. And that completely put me off, because I thought, if it's not a big enough pool of people and I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
bouncing ideas back and forth with other kinds of creatives, then I need that kind of environment to motivate me. So I went to uni here, graduated in 2016, started in 2013. I did TV production. It's a BA, it's a Bachelor of Arts. And it was a really good course. I think that for the time, it had a proper gallery and a studio, and we had BBC's Midlands come and film, and I was a camera operator for them, and it was super exciting to see the tally light go on for the first time. I still remember getting all giddy and
Oh.
shaky and, oh, I'm live kind of thing. So it was cool. I transitioned away from music, ended up more in the camera department. That was kind of a gradual thing.
Mm.
So, being an immigrant and having a chip on my shoulder because of it, I felt like I had to prove myself constantly. So I was working quite hard, which is good. You know how you work hard, you get far in this industry.
Yeah.
So I was hustling. I had a radio show in uni because
Did
they just gave
you?
us they gave us time on the radio. It was called
Oh,
Radio Lab, Luton and Bedford.
wow.
Yeah.
How
Who knows?
cool.
Maybe you were listening to it in the car at some point.
Maybe, yeah.
So it was a cool experience. The uni was kind of like a platform. I made a lot of friends, and really the best thing that I developed was kind of a confidence that I can do things. And whereas back home, if you went to film school, there's this elitism around that. You need to be really cultured, whereas here it's quite the opposite. You have initiative, people support you. Our lecturers were ex-BBC presenters and producers and directors, so we had that direct contact with people from the industry. And on a first name basis, which blew my mind. My first job straight out of uni was actually, I was still in year 2. I was a runner on Big Brother, the
Mm.
show in Elstree and Bournemouth, which
Yeah.
is close to Luton, right? And the fact that I could speak to the director on a first name basis, this is unheard of back in Romania. You're like, Mr. Director, sir.
Mircea, I mean, the more you say, the crazier it becomes how similar the situation and conditions in Romania is to Iran. Now I know, aside from Eastern countries, I know probably in like Far East Asian countries, this is the case. But the fact that you saying like you call people by their last name, by their title and everything, and the fact that um how you learned English is exactly the same. Like my mom used to get like VHS tapes and like bring in Disney cartoons, and without there was no subtitle or anything, and I would just repeat things without knowing what they mean necessarily, and just like make impressions. And when I came to Europe, like the first time we left Iran, we went to Germany, and my English teacher at the German school was like, why do you have American accent? I was like, don't know, really. And here as well, people are like, your accent, I
Can't
can't,
quite put my finger on
yeah,
it.
put my finger on it. It's a mix of everything. And I'm like, yes, it is, but it used to be American. So much similarities, and which is very, very interesting to me.
That's an amazing thing about this idea for a conversation and a podcast, right? Because it takes you through everything. What job you're doing now implies the 20 other things that you went through before to get here. And it's cool how you can find, and I'm actually quite impressed in a positive way that, because you've had an amazing journey yourself, listening to the previous episode and being in different countries, and, your journey is quite unique, but in a way I resonate with a lot of it, especially the early encounters of kind of media, kind of pop culture, because this was our internet. We all watched the same cartoons, like Dragon Ball Z. Every kid on the planet has seen an episode or something.
Yeah.
So we share the same pop culture references in a
Yeah.
weird way.
Well, you have answered our first 4 questions all in one go. Thank you very much. It's lovely
Okay,
to talk
goodbye.
to you.
Thanks. Tune in for the next episode.
Yeah, that was great. And which leads me to our 5th question.
Wait.
I'm joking.
Big Brother, those were the days, huh? The
Right.
Big Brother was where we first met, right?
Was it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't remember
that.
what year that was. It must have been.
I'll tell you exactly when it was.
Oh, wow.
Because that was a year where it was probably my first or second season as an operator. So to rewind a little bit, my first job on Big Brother was as a live day runner, which means 1 day a week for several weeks if you're lucky, for the whole season. Then it's off. That's it. So I got that job through just throwing my CV out there with all the other students. But I was lucky enough to have a job prior to that. So basically, I was handing business cards left, right, and center. What do you write on a business card when you're a student? I actually wrote student, which feels like a completely dumb and silly thing to do at this stage in my career. Just put your name, your email address, it's a contact card, right? But I was so desperate for it. And I remember one night getting a call from, you might remember Nick Way, Charlie, so the sound guy. He got me my first job as a runner for a BBC One production. And that kind of kickstarted everything else with Big Brother, because as soon as people see, oh, they've worked on one thing, and then it just snowballs, right? But I gave this guy my business card, and I didn't even want to do sound, and he was kind of aware of that. But he calls me up at 11 p.m. on a Sunday for the following Monday. He's like, hey, listen, you're not plan A, you're not plan B, you're not plan C. I really need a runner tomorrow at 6 a.m. in downtown London. And I had to get on the train and everything. I was like, yeah, I'm there. Done. And I think I held the lamp up for a good amount of hours, and it was quite cold. It was Valentine's Day, and I was shivering outside an ice rink next to Liverpool Street, holding up the lamp. But it was so great. I was part of the team, got a credit, everything
That's
everything happened.
Cool.
So fast forward to Big Brother, then because I was around and quite desperate for work, and people can sense that I had a bit of a drive, I moved from being a live show runner, which is a 1 day a week thing, to a post-production runner. So I tried post-production for a little while, and they had various shifts. It was 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. or 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was paid like £75 in a day, right? And not including trains, which are £25. You buy your own lunch, and then, you do the math. So it was great. It was not for the money, for sure. But because I was there, I walked into the camera operator's booth one day, and I said, hey, can I do some shadowing? And then next thing I know, this person calls up my boss from the post-production team saying, hey, this guy asked me for a job. Do you recommend him? And my boss was he didn't know what was going on because he's like, oh, he never said that he wants to leave, but okay, sure, yeah, he's a great guy. Why not? And that's how I got my first camera credit, because they were training people up from the ground up. Within a couple of days of shadowing, I was by myself on a camera and I had a camera credit. So this was happening in 2013 because that's when I graduated. So we must have met in 2014 or early 2015.
Wow. Time really does fly, doesn't it? I remember those big brother days so vividly, in various different capacities. But yeah, there are definitely some fond memories from a crew perspective of that time of our lives. You know what? It's really interesting, when you're up and coming, and it was much the same for myself. When I was starting my career, in that you would just put yourself out there, you talk to as many people as you can, you network the best you can, and eventually something will stick and you will get an opportunity, and then that will grow to something else. And it's all about building relationships, right? But as you were saying that, I was thinking that I don't know if it's like that anymore.
I was
don't
thinking
know,
exactly the same.
I don't know if that same mentality of, I feel like, but this industry specifically, I feel like it's in such a turmoil that there aren't the opportunities that there used to be in that way. There isn't the enough work to go around for people to be handing things off and giving opportunities like there was when we were starting up.
I think it's an interesting thing because in a way it does feel like the circle is getting tighter, right? If you know someone, then you might get in, and the job that you get in for is not the job that you end up doing. That's also an element to this conversation, right? The thing about being flexible, or at least in my experience, it helped to be flexible, because if I was to be super adamant that I want to do a specific kind of thing, well, nowadays the industry has shifted so much, I don't think that's the case anymore. Where I'm at right now, because I work in a big news studio, I work at Bloomberg TV, downtown London. We're an international channel, and it's right, it's a thing where across multiple platforms and around the world, and it's a cool environment. That being said, the way they do things, they tend to just have an apprenticeship program, and the competition is absolutely fierce, right? Yeah. Everyone's got a uni degree, everyone's got a great CV. They're looking for personalities as well, because obviously you need to be a certain kind of dependable person as well. But the way they do it here is they train you from the ground up that way. So you might even be in a different department first, and then switch to this, and then find that you resonate with this, and then they train you up that way.
So it's more about being the right person than having the skills initially.
In this kind of environment, yes.
I'm just saying, so are you suggesting that if there is any kind of job within the industry, get it, and then work your way up through what you want?
Precisely. This is what people told me when I got my first reoccurring runner gig. So when I moved from the live runner to the post-production runner job, by the way, I sent an email and I got a reply 8 months later.
Oh my God.
So stick it out.
The audacity.
Yeah. And then I get a reply 8 months later, and I reply within like half an hour. Like, yeah. You still want the job? Yes, please.
And then you get another response 1 year later.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm actually gonna. I know you wanna chip in, but that's just touching on emails, like receiving late responses to emails. People are so rude these days. People do not respond to emails. Yeah. I don't know what the problem is. People won't even pay the courtesy to say, no, it's okay, I'm fine. Whatever it might be, it's changed. It's really, really changed. In the last 5 years, I think it's really changed. It's very difficult to get a response over from someone you might be emailing to offer your services, or to connect with a new production company, or whatever it might be. People don't have either the time or they
don't care.
They don't care. Yeah. I mean, I was skirting around it, but yeah, I generally think that people just don't care enough to even respond, and it takes seconds to respond. But
to touch upon this, it's actually tied to what you guys were saying just a moment ago about the industry shifting. Because my boss in the post-production team, he was a runner. He started off as a runner on that show, and now he was owning the whole thing, and the operation grew. So can you imagine? Just it's the equivalent of going to a restaurant as a cleaner or a potter, a porter, sorry, and then you own the restaurant within a few, and then you own the whole franchise within a few
But
years.
that's so rare and so how do you say it? I mean, I don't know what else you can say. It's such an exception.
True. That being said, I also believe that we caught the end of how the industry used to be. Because all these different
Yes.
TV channels, you could just go like knock on the BBC's door and say, "Hey, do you have an apprenticeship program? I'll do whatever." And they're like, "Yeah, sure. You look like you could be a presenter." And then
It's even weird to go, I think, in person.
I think people would be freaked out. They'd be like, "What are you doing here?"
And you know what? So many times these few years that I've been looking for different roles and jobs and stuff, I was taught to be brave, go in person, hand in your resume, and you receive a completely different and shocking and negative reaction. As a previous generation, I would say, you end up not knowing what else can I do, because I personally feel so irrelevant to everything right now. I don't know what to do. Isn't it weird?
It can be soul crushing work to put yourself out there. And I think that because the industry is shifting and, I started off doing one job and now I have multiple roles within this department. And if I refuse to adapt really quickly, then they'll find someone else. So I feel like everyone's scared for their own job. Therefore, there's some gatekeeping happening. So me as a recruiter, I'm going to look for someone that looks good on my recruiting CV, and then I'm going to look for someone who's really malleable for the team and who can be paid next to minimum wage, because minimum wage in the UK has been going up, and I've heard some prices recently, some salaries for people that get full camera operator credits that are near minimum wage, and that is not okay for such qualified work. If you're going to give someone the full responsibility of having a live shot on TV, don't pay them the same as they're making coffee. Nothing against the people that are making coffee, because they're important too, but the responsibility is up here, and the financial compensation needs to match, right?
Yeah.
You need to kind of compensate people and make them feel valued. So I think maybe that's part of it. The change, the fact that we're all wearing more hats, and the industry is getting smaller and smaller because everyone has a camera. Cameras are getting cheaper. Studios are cutting corners left, right, and center. Like, oh, we have 3 operators. We have 3 producers. Let's try one person that does everything.
Well, but I mean, Mircea and I, we have a long history to working together and our friendship, and we know that firsthand from a place that we used to work at, where corners were cut to the point where you start to question your ability. Is it something I did? And to the point where you eventually come to the realization that actually the quality for these people, these particular people, doesn't actually matter. It's just about making sure that something goes out, not so much the quality. And I think that's becoming, especially, I sounding like an old man now, but especially with the rise of YouTube and the interwebs and all this stuff. I'm way more au fait than that. You both know that, but yeah, I feel like it's more quantity over quality now. It's just people just want to churn stuff out, and they don't really. People that are making it might care how it goes out, but I think the people that are watching it don't really care so much.
I mean, sometimes it's also not the case of matter of not caring, is not knowing as well.
But it's the same thing. If you don't know what looks good and what doesn't, then you just don't care.
Yeah, but I also know that replying to emails is not good. Not replying is a bad thing, but I also don't care how you take it, so I don't care about you. So there's a knowing, not caring, and there's a not knowing, caring, not caring. It made sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's definitely something there, and it's an interesting thing where you try not to take it personally when you're the one applying. You definitely try not to take it personally, because then it would hurt too much to to take that
Yeah.
on board. But it is that kind of industry, and it's a funny thing because it's gone full loop for me. I actually gave a workshop. I have a uni buddy who did a master's degree, and then he did a master's in teaching as well, in pedagogy. So now he's teaching in a college in South London,
Oh,
and I gave a workshop. So it's gone full circle. I'm the weird old guy
yeah.
giving the camera workshop, teaching kids how to use cameras.
I've been
And
doing the
it is
same.
so different, right? Have you done that too,
Yeah,
Charlie?
yeah.
How scary is it to be in a room full of teenagers?
It's
Right?
terrifying. Yeah. It's absolutely terrifying. The ones I do, I've done it for 2 years now in a row, and I've done 3 days a week for 2 weeks, once a year, basically, for the last 2 years. That sounds very confusing, but I've done I've done a couple of weeks worth of training to apprentices, basically, and it's terrifying. There've been 30 to 35 people staring at you, and you're the things that are going through your head are: is this going in? Is this too in depth? Is this not in depth enough?
Yeah, yeah. Do they know
Um,
more than I do? Because
yeah, because there's always a mix of people that, like, there's 3 or 4 people that know, they're like, oh, I've been doing all this stuff, but then there's all the other people that
yeah,
they've never looked at a television program or a film for more than pixels on a screen. Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you've got to find that balance of, like, you can never please everyone at the same
Hmm.
time, so you just
Mm,
have to give like a almost like a blanket thing that covers everything, and then the
Yeah,
people that want more, you just hope that they come to you and ask for more. um
yeah, yeah. Well, I think that that's the right approach. I think that so for first of all, I think that you're absolutely cut out to be a teacher yourself because you're the most talented and hardworking person I know in when it comes to cameras specifically. I've always envied you for your just attitude on set and the fact that you have everything under control and just framing. You know, when you look at something, you're like, damn, that looks good.
yeah.
I've had many, many of those moments, and I've stolen some of your shots, and I'm not afraid to say it, you know? But it's one of those cool things when you find yourself in that position, you're like, oh, actually, I did learn quite some stuff in the past decade. Might as well pass it on.
Yeah.
It's not up to you what they do with that information,
yeah.
right? Whether they maintain that standard or they just want to like churn out content, like you say. Truth be told, it's accelerated by technology, but this environment has always been changing quite a lot. You know, when it comes to film, TV, every new implementation in terms of technology, everything that makes things quicker, or any new medium, it changes the game. And you either adapt or you kind of, you peace out and you say, hey, I did my bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach now.
Yeah. Do you, because of the updol or unpredictabilities of life, do you want to share with us some unpredictabilities in your life that you faced and, for the better or worse, changed your direction or changed you?
For sure. So this is always to be included in anything media related because I feel like we're very prone to burnout
Mm.
and we're very prone to kind of, again, alluding to what Charlie was saying earlier, like, oh, is it me? Did I do something about this? Is it me because I'm not getting work right now? Maybe I'm
Yeah.
not good enough. This is the thing about human beings. We as you know, freelance is always feast or famine. It's all,
Yeah.
12-hour days for the whole week, or then nothing the following week. And that dynamic can be quite tricky sometimes. So we're prone to burnout. I experienced burnout a few times. And the first time I didn't know what it was because I was in my early 20s. So
Mm.
obviously, and I remember coming to the studio one day and Charlie just saying, I want the old Mircea to come back.
Oh,
Do you know
Something's
what?
gone.
I remember
Because
that. Yeah.
you spend so much time around people that you connect. So it forged some really amazing friendships. And people know when something's going on. So I think I first burnt out in like when I was 23, 24. And that age, obviously, you want to build a career and whatnot. But then I realized I have an unhealthy relationship towards work and it's not sustainable. My bank account might be happy for it. And the weird thing about it is workaholism is the most accepted form of self-harm in society because you get rewarded for it, both financially and you know, through recognition. Like people say, oh, such a hard worker. Let's give them more work. You know, let's give them the work of 2 people because it looks like they want to deal with it, you know? So I guess that's one thing to discuss. So I had a couple of those. By the second time I had a burnout, I knew what it was. So I kind of saw it coming and I slammed the brakes as soon as I noticed the signs. The first time around, it wasn't nice. It came with a massive existential crisis. Like I had put so much in work and I couldn't find satisfaction in work. I was burnt out. I didn't want to hear about work anymore. The stuff that I loved doing was giving me zero satisfaction.
Yeah.
So, and this lasted for quite some time, quite a few months of, you know, taking it easy and then, you know, trying out other things and whatnot. I came across meditation that way. And then, you know,
I
to
was
kind
gonna
of,
actually ask, like,
yeah,
you're to me, you are you. First of all, you make people around you feel calm. You have that effect, which is lovely, amazing, and thank you for your service.
thank you. Very kind.
And I was going to ask, how did you become such a wise owl in such young age?
How did you become such a wise ass?
So
Be
how I became a
kind,
wise
be
ass.
polite.
That's very no, because this is okay. This is not family friendly or anything on Spotify, right?
Yeah,
we
no.
can say whatever we want. So no, first of all, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you, Sharon. And really, it's through overdoing things and being really extremely unhappy that I had to change some things. So I was never, I don't know, not necessarily that calmness isn't in my personality, but I feel like I was quite agitated for quite some time and like looking for meaning left, right, and center and like overdoing things, being prone to addiction as well. I was so at the peak of burnout, I also found out that I had quite strong eating disorders. So these addictive tendencies were in and out of my life. And then I joined some 12-step programs, which were really helpful for me. I started meditating, and I'm quite fond of. I live in a Tibetan Buddhist center now, so talk about unpredictabilities of life. You know, who would have thought that the whole thing went full circle?
Did you ever before that thought that you would go that direction, let alone have that
Absolutely not. First of all, the world doesn't need one more wannabe woke white dude, but here I am. That being said, I never envisaged the path as it unfolded because I started off as just looking for a little bit of happiness for myself. And then the more things settled, everything else settled in my life. All my relationships became richer, all my friendships became richer. And it just became a very, very natural thing for me personally. So I came across meditation again because I was really unhappy, not because, you know, I just wanted to be cool or whatever. Actually, tell a lie, 2 things happened. Talking about how you get rewarded or overworking, I was both really, really tired and unhappy, but also I had succeeded. I was ticking a few boxes and the happiness wasn't there. So what gives, right? This is prime, I don't know, like this is kind of fertile soil for inner work. Because when you're like, nothing out there is going to make me happy, then what's left?
Yeah.
What can I work on?
Beautiful.
You know? So that's my 2 bits about it. I mean, that's how I ended up in a situation where I still film quite a bit, and I filmed, you know, teachers, Tibetan teachers in various places, and I mix both passions in an interesting way nowadays. Yeah, I would recommend for anyone that's got any sort of curiosity and inner work, whether that's psychology or anything that resonates with you, or art. Art can be a really powerful medium, you know. Like Charlie Lee does. Charlie, you do your photos. Like you had your time of film photography. That was not for any sort of, you know, commercial work. Like, sure, you can sell prints and whatnot, but we both know that you probably spend way more money on the film because you were really into it.
Yeah.
Just a serial film shooter for a while.
Yeah, made broke even at best. Let's say that.
Right.
That's
right. And it's a cool thing to kind of channel that to say, hey, let's go back to the artistic part. Because my heart's in this for a reason. I love to craft that shot. Otherwise, I can do any other job. There are many other jobs that are higher paying than TV. And that is the truth.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And I mean, I have seen and witnessed ourselves, but outside our um, small circle of friends, I've seen a lot of people just deciding to do something difficult that will challenge them. I think there's this waves began after when COVID started, I think, as well. I mean, there was obviously people before that who decided to take a personal challenge. Um, but yeah, this is wonderful, and I envy you that you did that experience in Tibet. And I don't know, it's so. I think for many people, it's scary to what they will face internally. That's why a lot of people don't do it.
And hey, listen, I'm also lucky to be around other people that have gone on their own journey. So I have a bunch of cool friends around from different backgrounds, and they kind of helped out loads. And I always thought that I'll take to meditation. I'll go do a month-long retreat when it really hits the fan, when things are really bad, when I'm having a meltdown or something. But I'm happy that I did my month-long retreat when things were actually okay. So things had already settled down, and then I got way more out of it. So what I'm recommending is that if you feel like you would benefit from any sort of like the things that we named before, it's better to do it now, as opposed to waiting until things are really, really difficult. And I think that that's just a good rule of thumb, whether we're talking about careers or personal life or relationships. If things are getting really, really heavy, always someone out there. Like the best lesson I ever got was like to ask for help. Because as soon as I started asking for help, whether it's direction creatively or on a personal level or in a career setting or relationships or therapy is asking for help. I love going to therapy because it's feedback from another human being that's just there to kind of take it all in. And honestly, I think that there's no human being ever born that would not benefit from therapy.
Agreed.
It is what it is.
100%. Here, people, someone else aside from me said it, so I'm not advertising therapy. But you can come to me.
I back you up, Sharon.
Bibuti babati boo. That was jingle.
We've touched on some hardships of our industry and our feelings and various parts around that. I wanted to ask about some of the worst experiences that you have been through that you have learned the most from. If that makes sense.
Are we talking within TV or outside of TV?
Maybe one of the worst filming experiences is working with Charlie.
Actually, no, but close. So listen, I'm going to start with the positive. And the worst filming experience in TV actually had two. Let's say I had two.
Okay.
One was not so bad. It was a gig in Argentina, right? So they flew me out to Buenos Aires, and that was really cool. It sounds cool. Done and dusted. But it was actually unpaid, and I realized I bought a 2,000-pound laptop to go on that thing, and really I could have had a holiday in Argentina for 2 months. So that was a bad investment.
It was on promises. Unpaid?
That was unpaid. So that's one thing. Let's say that's not so bad. I think the worst thing was filming for our previous channel, Thou Shall Not Be Named, with my lovely producer. I was filming something in Vancouver.
I'm going to pause you 1 second. I'm going to pause you because I had written this question with this in mind, and I've put it in brackets. But you've not seen the question, have you?
No, he hasn't.
No,
you typed
so Mircea has not seen the question, and I was hoping that you might not that I'm not in a sinister way, but I was hoping that maybe there would have been
in
another,
a sinister way,
another experience. But secretly, I was hoping that this would have been the one.
That it's this one, right?
Tell us.
So I have to say that the worst experience TV-wise was going to Vancouver with my producer from our previous channel, where all three of us met. Lovely place to work sometimes. And I was a yes man. I was still a yes man. I still had that uni mentality of you have to get a good shot and do anything for the job and whatnot. So the shooting itself was quite interesting because we were filming ex-veterans from the Iran-Iraq War, people that have gone through so much, and the content was really, really heavy and really, what can I say? It felt like those stories needed to be told.
Yeah.
So I did my best to light it, to shoot it, no matter how tired I was. And this is actually also during burnout. So I was in a really unhappy place, but I said, hey, let's go, let's do this. It sounds like a cool project. I slept on blow-up mattresses throughout. I slept in the guy's garage. I slept in the same room as my producer and the guy's kid. For some reason, the kid came over on the couch in the evening. It was interesting and weird because this guy's like an ex-veteran, and in the morning he would wake me up and then like crack my back, and he was awfully friendly and touchy-feely. He kind of probably saw me like as a son figure or something like that. I don't know. It was interesting, but the weirdest thing about the whole thing was I was cutting corners. I offered them a really good rate, as in a cheaper rate than what I usually ask for. And then my producer said, "Oh, we can't afford a hotel, sorry." And all the time I'm thinking, I'm channeling my inner Charlie, and I'm thinking Charlie would have just gone to the first hotel and invoiced for it and gotten away with it. I get back to London, and guess what my producer hears from the production manager? Fantastic, you guys were $3,000 under budget, or whatever.
Oh my God.
Have you ever heard of a production in your entire career? Have you ever heard of a production going under budget by like half the production?
Nope.
Of course I'm fuming because I've given it all. And then the cherry on top is that the thing never made it on air.
Oh.
Because the documentary was shot in a way where it was a bit too long-winded, the thing was never actually cut together. We didn't even get to see a final product. So in a way, interesting experience because I learned from it so much. I learned not to put up with stuff that I shouldn't put up with, even for the sake of the content, right? Because if I really cared about those people, I would have just gone by myself, done my own thing, right? Yeah. It was somewhere in between where I was being all high and mighty, like, look at me sacrificing myself, being the martyr, and really all I could hear in the back of my head is Charlie say,
You know what? It's so funny. I've never worked on a production that's gone under budget before. Do you know what? 3 days ago, I just came off a shoot that was £500,000 over budget. I might need to bleep that out. I don't know. £500,000 over.
I mean, it's notoriously, human beings are notoriously bad at estimating things, generally speaking. But when it comes to budgets, it always goes like that. And studios know, right? Studios definitely know. So, yeah, lesson learned.
Oh my God, I am so sorry that you had that experience, but you're absolutely right. The most valuable lessons, unfortunately, I have come from the hardest ways. And it's such a cliche, but it's so true. That's why it's such a cliche.
I remember distinctly when you came back from that trip, and I was like, oh, hey, how was the trip? You know, because at the time I think you had done plenty of abroad shoots, but this one was particularly quite big for this network and whatnot. Yeah. So I was really interested to know how you got on and everything. Yeah, it was devastating to hear because there were lots of other issues I remember with the vehicle hire and all those things. But yeah. Such a sad thing to have to endure, but also the learning aspect from that is massive. It's absolutely massive. Yeah. And I think those are the things that shape us moving forward, because you will never endure that again in the same capacity.
Absolutely.
Through your own, I don't even know what the word is. I'm trying to say, like, you know what is fair and what isn't fair.
Absolutely.
And you know what
you know what you're worth as well. Because I feel like this is I've learned so much from you personally, Charlie, because of the way you shoot and whatnot, but also how you conduct yourself. I feel that it's painfully obvious to me now, after doing some therapy and some inner work for a few years, that it's coming from a place of low self-esteem, whereas it's just human dignity. Say, hey, I just need proper conditions. I just need the bare basics. And sure, there are times to kind of push for a higher rate and to ask for more money, but there are also times to kind of, okay, meet people in the middle. That being said, this thing of having self-worth no matter what, and just say, hey, I'm also a human being in this equation, that's necessary at all times.
That's so interesting that again you say that, because that I've also seen this quality in Charlie in life, like the personal life levels of a relationship, and I've learned that as well from him, that even at work and in any context, I've been surprised or shocked or taken aback by when there is an opportunity. In my view, he refuses it. Sometimes he says no. You say no because for you it's not worth his his time, his effort.
The power to say no, that is super good. That's super important, like you say, in all our...
And I think this is a cultural thing.
Sort of touching back on what you said earlier about being a yes man, sort of growing up in your career and just saying yes to absolutely everything. I was that person. And
were you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say yes to absolutely everything. And then at one point in my life, looking back, I was probably in a stage of burnout in some form or another. I started saying no. And that was probably the biggest pivotal point in my career, was actually finding the ability to say no. And in doing so, it teaches you so much more about yourself.
Absolutely.
And what you want in your heart than what somebody else wants you to do.
Can I just add something that I heard, it's probably in another podcast, but someone said that you think you're saying yes to everyone, but really you're saying no to things all the time. Because when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Unagi. So, when you were growing up, who was your biggest inspiration? Who did you idolize and aspire to be like?
It's a really, really good question. I'm really trying to think about it now. It's an interesting thing because I did have some teachers that really kind of shaped the way I grew up. So definitely my kindergarten English teacher, because and this is a weird thing to say right now because we're living in 2025, completely different context, right? Yeah. But think about it this way. Substitute English teacher, grown-ass woman.
Yeah.
She loved me so much, like her own child, that she was so proud of me because I was the best in class for English, that she took me out for a movie and lunch.
Aww.
How sweet is that? And she took me to see like The Grinch because it was around Christmas. And she was like, oh, do you want me to read the subtitles for you? I was like, nah, I got this.
trying to impress the English teacher.
Do you know what? I am so happy that happened to you. I know there are so many dangerous things out there, but there were genuine people who did amazing things, and now they are not allowed or they are scared to do that.
It's an interesting thing, right? Because I feel like something is wrong with us as society if, a teacher can't genuinely care about.
She was like, this kid is genius, and I'm going to have a role in that.
I'm just going to reward him with a little something, and it was the sweetest thing in the world, And I'm still looking for that teacher. If you're listening, reach out to these guys. Ask for my email address. I asked everywhere, but because she was a substitute teacher, she wasn't there for too long. She was there for like half a year or something like that. Yeah. I can't find her anymore. And she really, one of the few people that completely changed my course, because they're like, oh, you can believe in yourself based on this. A genuine human interaction, like an adult saying you're worth something.
Yeah.
And that message really landing, and then me believing that I can do it. That was huge.
It's that feeling of someone seeing something in you, right?
100%.
Because I remember that so vividly as sort of growing up, is that most of my teachers and tutors, they would all just kind of look at me like, oh, like just another one. Do you know what I mean? Like a number.
Right.
But there was probably 2 or 3 maybe maximum. They didn't do anything special. They certainly didn't take me out to see a movie. But yeah. I knew just through human interaction that they saw something in me. And that gave me so much, like more than I could ever comprehend. I can't imagine. I would probably be a completely different person now without having experienced that.
These are like your part of your, what do you call it? The core memories.
Yeah.
I have that person, my mom's cousin. was he was a psychologist, and the family was amazing. Like we always, the whole family played some instrument, every single person, and it was amazing.
Wow.
And they lived far from from us, same
Hmm.
city, far, and we would go like maybe once or at its best twice a year to like visit every single time, and I did nothing, and he and his wife just adored me and also pointed out small things they saw in me and talked about it. And when I was leaving Iran and coming here, they gave me a card and had this beautiful phrase that from time to time I just repeat that in my mind. And I have faith in that because of him.
Mm.
I believe he said, you will be something. Let's say, like, the end of the, in a nutshell, that sentence was, I can see your future and it's bright. And I rely on that. Ah,
That's something that's stuck with you
yeah.
and has helped you grow. It's amazing. I
Fantastic,
think
isn't
everybody
it?
has something like that in one form or another, whether it's a look that someone gives you or it's a physical thing or
Yeah.
Yeah.
a message.
You
It's
people.
amazing. Yeah.
It's really necessary. It's really necessary, right? And then, hey, maybe we're in a position in our lives where we can give that to someone else. You know, when you see young people, to
Yeah.
to point out qualities in them, to make them believe in themselves. It feels like such a trivial thing to do as an adult. Like it's just words. But really when it lands, it just kind of drops into their hearts and they're set. In a way, there's that positive voice that they can still hear,
Mm.
you know?
But don't say it to every child, okay?
No, not every child in a bus stop.
Yeah.
They
Believe in
don't
yourself.
deserve it.
You got this, buddy.
He also talked about it. What was the biggest hurdle in your career so far?
The biggest hurdle has definitely, in a way, been the fact that my family, some of my family members have had illnesses throughout their lives, and that was quite a strong thing. So, for example, my mom's had cancer for the past 20 years, on and off, and she's had many operations. So I always had to kind of go home and take breaks. And you can say that's a hurdle on one level, but at the same time, it kind of goes back to what we were saying about that also being the time we grow the most, because I've learned so much by just being able to look after her and kind of return some of the love that I have received as a child. So it's one of those things where you feel like, oh, I need to put my whole life on hold because I can't do anything about somebody's health, right? I just need the help right now.
Yeah.
But for some reason, those moments actually make you a better person the rest of your life and more relatable. And again, if I try to conceal it and try to be strong, quote unquote, not share things with people, I feel like it's alienating, and then I just feel like it's too much to carry. Whereas if I share a little bit with friends or even with the people at work, when I started working where I'm working right now at Bloomberg News in 2018, I did my shadowing shift and then I had to fly home because mom had an operation the following week. So they know from the very get-go that I have responsibilities, and they've been super supportive. If I have to take time off or cancel a few shifts, no problem. My managers are completely behind it because they know how important family is. And really, we're not neurosurgeons here, right? We're people that offer a creative service, but I feel like I benefit from not taking myself too seriously. If I take a month or two off, nothing's gonna happen. You know, I'm gonna find more work afterwards. Nothing. Like the world doesn't stop just because I need to take a little break. So that's also a lesson, and coming from a difficult time that's been, kind of ongoing in a way, but it for some reason it gave me more and more confidence as time went on, and my mom still has a good quality of life. I still visit her. I was just there 2 days ago, and it's an amazing thing because it sounds like you have to give up something to have a career, but really you can kind of find a way to do both. And if you're sacrificing human connection for the sake of getting some sort of recognition from society or whatever, at some point it's just gonna turn to sand, turn to dust in your hands.
Crumble.
My eyes are teary.
Mm.
Final question before we go to our fun game segment. What are the biggest and best life lessons you wish you could pass on to the next person?
Right. Okay. This is very similar to that.
Courtesy
To myself, yeah.
of me, yeah.
To the next person, the person on my right. So that's Charlie. Yeah. Grow a man bun earlier. It looks great on you. What took you so long? So, life lessons that I wish I passed on. It's really, it kind of falls into the same category as that, oh, what would you tell your younger self kind of thing? Yeah. And the number one thing that always comes to mind is do not take yourself too seriously. I've lost so much sleep and stressed about things that nobody else cares about and have fictional worries that never come to fruition. Like I worry about things that they're not going to happen. And also, even if they do happen, I deal with them then and there. That's it. Chill out. Don't take yourself too seriously. Definitely have fun. When the fun stops, you stop whatever you're doing. Like if it's not fun to film anymore, take a break. If it's not fun to I don't know, sit down and meditate or paint or whatever, there's no need to push ourselves through these things. There's a reason why our minds and our bodies and our hearts tell us okay, pause, then go back to that. So I can just boil it down to, don't take yourself too seriously and take breaks.
I love that. I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Because for me, the answer is so clear to me now, but when I was starting my career, it was definitely not. What is fun to you in a work environment? Because
what does fun mean?
Yeah, because for me, I'll kick it off. Fun, looking back at this company we used to work for, it was absolutely not fun unless the people there that you were working
100%,
with
100%
were the right people.
Thank you.
It's all about people.
Well, it led to this podcast happening, and Phil having two very beautiful parents. So it's not all bad.
But it's a big question, isn't it? Because I remember times where during the height, let's say, of our time at this company, we, not to be big-headed or anything, but all of us, the kind of the top guys, that we knew everything and we could do it with our eyes closed, right? I think that's fair to say. We could pretty much do anything with our eyes closed there, and everything would run smoothly. But depending on who you were working with on that particular day would dictate whether you were having fun or not so much fun, but whether you were happy or whether you were not.
That's true. 100%. I think that I really resonate with your answer, and I'm just going to echo what you're saying. It's about the people. There's certain projects. For example, I went to Notting Hill Festival yesterday, Notting Hill Carnival, and it's totally not on my radar usually, but I have a friend who's a director and he wants to shoot something next year. And it's such a crazy project, but we're great friends. And it's about that friendship. Really, I think that a lot of the time, in my experience, the camera was just an excuse to kind of be in an interesting place, to be around interesting people. The fun comes from that human interaction. And really, you can show some cool shots at the end of the day. You can build a show reel. You can tell yourself, oh, I worked in this and this and I filmed so and so. But really, if you're not having fun, then it really feels like you're doing it for no reason. Yeah. So moving forward, what I prioritize is that whatever I shoot, everyone feels valued. No one's feeling stressed. No one's shouty. No one's trying to be a little, mini Mussolini dictator on set. You want to be laid back and relaxed, and that is the place where friendships can form, and then you can just mess around a bit as well. I feel like it's important to be silly and childlike and childish because it's that kind of industry where it can be super fun or it can be super stressful. The same exact shoot, the same exact byproduct. Like I hear stories of, for example, Stanley Kubrick, stressing out his actor so that he gets a better performance. Personally, I'm not about that. You might say that it makes for a good shot in the end, but knowing that makes me not want to watch the film anymore. The actress actually being in distress.
I think those times have passed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully they have,
absolutely,
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's all about the
Yeah.
people.
And that was an easy way to get a good work done. I think now that we know that this is not the way to be, I don't know, however people might be, but I'm gonna say, like, I don't know, harassing or abusive or whatever. That's easy. That it's easy to be mean. It's easy because as human species we can be naturally mean or just bad people. And it's hard to be good and make creative art great work. So the bar is raised, I think. Okay, now we have come to the segment, our fun part or game part. It's called Out of Hours. And this is our fantasy segment, Mircea, where we ask our guests about a role they might have fantasized about or are totally up for trying it for just one day. So if you could jump into any role for just one day, no holds barred, and let your imagination run wild, okay? What would that look like?
So I'm picturing this, right? I'm an artist and I have this big white canvas and I have this long hair and I'm dipping my hair in paint and then wait a second, this is from the previous episode.
That was gonna
No, I'm kidding. I'm pretty sure that's what I remember of you. There you go. There it is. The luscious locks. That's why they call him Charlie Lock.
Hey. Okay.
No, all jokes aside, it's a really great question because it's one of those things. I feel like all three of us have done our dream jobs for a while, so it's not like we're coming from something that we don't like. But I did think about it a couple times, and I think two things stand out. Two quite different things that I'd like to do. One would be I'm super, super inspired by sea shepherds. You know what a sea shepherd is?
No, do tell.
So, sea shepherds are this kind of self funded organization that looks out for sea life at sea because we have international sea laws like you're not supposed to fish above a certain amount, you're not supposed to throw your nets out in the ocean. But no one actually looks out for nature out in the sea at large, if you're in the middle of the ocean or whatever. And these guys go around and they police the seas for us because there's no organization that does that for the planet.
Wow.
And these guys kind of put their neck on the line and they have drones and they have all these little systems and whatnot. And they basically look out for the sea. And if they find whale poachers, then they'll try to make stop them from doing what they're doing. And it's quite dangerous stuff because you're bumping into pirates and they're basically the good guys of the seas. They're kind of superheroes on boats kind of thing.
Wow.
So I really respect that. I think that I would love to be whatever, a skipper or something like that on one of those boats.
That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty
That's
cool. Mircea, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough for being our guest, for being so amazing, for being so well spoken. I cannot believe English is not your first language. And thank you so much for all your insight, things that you shared, being showing your vulnerable side as well, and letting us continue this podcast because we needed someone to say yes to that, and you said it. Thank you.
Hey, listen, I think that I really feel like I know you guys better. And it's amazing because I've known you guys for years and you're such dear friends. So I think that this conversation is great to have with anyone. And the fact that both of you have such a wealth of life experience and know people from different backgrounds as well, it's going to make for an interesting story pretty much every time, I think. I mean, you get to know people so well, and then we get to know you guys because, again, listening to the first episode, I thought, hey, that's so cool. There's so much more to it than the already awesome bits that I know, right? So
Yeah.
keep up the good work and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. That was such an incredible chat with Mircea. From learning English through cartoons to hustling on Big Brother sets, battling burnout, and ending up teaching camera skills while living in a Buddhist center in London. What a journey.
We hope his story gives you permission to slow down, take breaks, value your work, and say no when you need to. And remember, The people you work with and the energy you bring matter more than any job title.
Thanks for tuning in to our very first guest episode.
Yes, if you enjoyed this conversation, share it with a friend who might need a little inspiration today. And we will see you next time for more honest chats about life and work behind the scenes.
Ciao for now.
Ta-ta!
I think that's it, right?
Yes.
We nailed it.
Very good.